Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me today for another card making tutorial featuring this time around two new bundles called Petal Park and Sentimental Park. These actually come as a suite option as well, so there's a whole heap of coordinating products with these bundles as well. So Petal Park, a really nice floral set, no sentiments with this one, and this one actually has is a punch bundle, so we have this lovely punch there that will cut out those flowers and a leaf. Okay, and then we've got Sentimental Park, which is a die bundle, so lots of sentiments in this one and a few extra florals, and they sort of coordinate together quite nicely. Okay, and then we've got some dies that will cut these lovely detailed labels and some accent florals as well to accompany those. Okay, so this one I'm using the sentiment portion, no dies being used with that one, but we've got the key features here. So we've got a line image and sort of a fill-in image, so we can do two-step stamping or we can do single-step stamping. Okay, and then likewise with the flowers, so this is one stamp, which means it will be perfectly aligned with the punch. And again, you can either choose to use the outline or the solid images together or separately as you wish. Okay, a few other little decorative elements in there too. Alright, so there's our stamp sets. Alright, okay. This card actually features all neutral colours. Okay, and the new sample is going to do the same. So we have a grey granite card base with Merry Merlot. That's in the layer and in the flowers, and then we have Mossy Meadow for the foliage, and it's a grey granite ribbon that we've got there. It's the grey granite shimmer ribbon. Okay, so the only thing we're going to do in terms of changing the colourway is switch out the Merry Merlot for Night of Navy. So we're still keeping all the neutrals in. Could have switched in some Smoky Slate or even some Crumb Cake for the base card, but when I cut my card bases, I end up with two from one sheet of cardstock, so I thought I'd just use the grey granite and just switch out the coordinating colour. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for today. So as I say, it's a grey granite card base in the usual dimensions. Our Whisper White, I haven't been Whisper White for a while, Basic White is 3.5 by 5.25. So I've just cut the Night of Navy portion to be 1/8 of an inch taller and wider than that, to give us that just a hint of that blue border to go round the back there. And then I've got a 3/4 inch scrap there for the sentiments. Right, so we'll pop those to one side just for a second. I've got another scrap of Basic White there to bring in a moment. So let's start then with our Mossy Meadow ink and pop in our foliage image. So we just want to make sure that that's well inked up. It is a large stamp, just about fits on the ink pad with a little bit of jiggering around. So that's this is an E-block that I've got this mounted onto. And you've sort of got options as to how you want to orientate this. There's sort of pockets, if you like, for where the flowers can nestle in, and I quite liked the smaller ones tailing off into the top. So I'm just going to position that sort of just above the centre of the card there. So firm and even pressure over the top there, just to get that stamped into place. So there we are. And while that's open, I'm just going to add a few little extra dots. This stamp actually mirrors the little detail images and dots that we've got in the stamp, so it just sort of adds a little bit more to the background there. Okay. And then before that dries too much, we're going to use our clear Wink of Stella pen just to pull out some of the colour in from the image, the line art, shall we say, to sort of add some colour to those leaves. Okay, So rather than use the two-step feature, I thought I'd go for this look where we can add some colour in a different way. Alright. Could of course colour this with a variety of other mediums as well, but I thought this would look nice, and the more you pull out the ink, the more intense the colour will be. So if you want some things a little darker than others, then keep working that ink and loosen it up. Okay, but that will dry clear, and it has the added advantage of adding some little bit of sparkle on there as well, which there we go, which will just catch there. Okay, so it just gives it that extra little bit. Okay, so the flower stamp is here. Okay, we want to stamp it so that it will punch out in the same orientation. So we're going to stamp it this way up so that it's nice and straight for us to punch out, and we're going to do that on some scrap so we can punch it out. So we're going to pop that down there, and I'm also going to pop it into the base image as well. Like so. So we've got a sort of landing pad for those images too. So the ones we've stamped that we want to punch out, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to pull a bit of the colour out. And that one's got quite a lot of ink in the centre, so that pulled out quite a lot of ink. Okay. And then it sort of fades out, because it almost gives it like a watercolour sort of look, I guess. That's exactly what it is, really. Watercolouring out with just using a glitter pen instead of a plain brush or an aqua painter. Okay, so there we go. And again, you know, if you feel like you want some more colour at the tips, just pull in a little bit from the tip there. There we go. Alright, so we've got this lovely soft look to those flowers, and we can do it to the base image. We're not going to see much of the base image, and this will have dried a little bit, so the ink won't move as much. So you want to, if you are going to pull out the colour, you want to do it before the ink is fully dried. Okay, so if we did want to make this a flat card, we could just leave that like that and mount it up with the sentiment. No problem at all. But of course we don't like flat cards, do we? Well, at least, well, we don't not like them. It's just, it's not well, it's not a rarity card if there's lots of things popped up, is there? So the punch will line up really nicely over the top of those flowers. Just eyeball a few of those top those markers, sort of top, bottom, left, right, and when you're happy, just squeeze that punch and you can get your flowers out of there. You'll see here that I was just having a look to see how the two-step stamping could work out. That was Merry Merlot, and actually, what did I put over the top there? I think it was Blushing Bride, I think it was. So, you know, it's a very much more deep colour that you'd get if you were doing two-step stamping. Okay, but it's another option for you. Okay, so that punch is done. Okie dokie. Right, let's put our layers together. So we're going to want to pop this onto our light of navy. Just layer that up. Do you find that layers are a really nice way to add detail to a card without it being too fussy? And we'll grab our shimmer ribbon. This is Smoky Slate shimmer ribbon. We need a length to wrap and a length to tie. Okay, so it's going to sit somewhere around here-ish, so we'll just pop some seal adhesive across the back there just to pin that into place while we so I don't want it to overlap this flower because I'm going to be almost decoupaging it, I guess. So wrap that around the back so it's sort of straight, preferably, and then we can secure that to the card front. Just find it easier to do it sideways. Don't particularly know why, but whatever works for you, do it. Okay, so last thing that we need to stamp is our sentiment. So I've already got the Dear Friend sentiment from the Sentimental Park there already mounted onto an H block, which is H and D are my favourite blocks. Where have I put that? There it is. Okay, so light tapping on the ink pad, and we'll just position that onto this scrap, which I've cut to 3/4 of an inch, so we can use the new pick a punch. Can't remember exactly what that one's called, you know. It gives you there's like a little sort of little mini scallop and a postage edge punch. Okay, so use the scallop on the other one. Let's just use the other one just because we can on this one. So whilst this is designed for 1/2 inch, 3/4 and inch strips, there's nothing to say you couldn't use some other slightly different width strips. You just have to be careful how you position them in the punch. So I would say that's a little long actually, so I'm going to actually punch it again, which will take off another 1/8 of an inch or so from the bottom there. It's a bit further away than I thought it was going to be. There we go. Right, that's lovely. So you want to allow about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, maybe a bit more, to allow for that edge to be punched. And then we'll do the other side. Make sure it's in and lined up at the back, she says. Because even though you've got the guides, especially with smaller bits of paper, you might find that they don't go in quite straight. There we go, got it. Right, so for this, these little edge strips of your dimensionals are really good for sticking down these kinds of things, because they can sit at the top and bottom of that sentiment strip and sort of straddle the ribbon, if you like. It's not great to stick stuff over the top of this ribbon because it sort of gapes and stuff. We can secure it with some Tombow or a glue dot or something, but by having this sort of sit over the top of the ribbon, you don't need to worry about that. And I also like having things break the borders, so those of you who've watched before know I do this. This is very, very verity, this is. Okay. As is tying bows, so I use this sort of bunny ear method where you take the loops and just do a simple knot, and then you have to do your fussing with it. So tie it tight and then pull it to the size you want. Cover your tails, clip them off together so that they're even. We'll just put that on with a glue dot. to not obscure the sentiment there, so we'll just pop that in like that. And the flowers themselves are going to need dimensionals on the back as well. Grab a mini for the that little one actually. Mini dimensional. So it's all going to have lots of texture on it. Now I like to give my flowers a little bit of a shape. Now I'm happy to press this into the palm of my hand. If you've got hand pain, you might want to do that. To use a spongy mat or something, just to press into the centre. Use a ballpoint pen or anything like that to do that. And then we're just going to layer these over the top of our stamped images. Okay, so you don't have to stamp underneath, but I've kind of liked the idea that if the card is viewed, you know, when it's sat on display, you can see sort of down the side of it. So I quite like the idea of having something underneath it. Okay, now you can line them up, but I'm not sure it particularly matters if they are lined up exactly. The point is that you can just sort of see that poking through at the back there, so that it will look nice. And then we'll just finish it off with some basic pearls. Okay, so again I like to use the trio of pearls there in all the different sizes, and that is that. That's the Night of Navy version. This is the Merry Merlot version. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that, and it's given you some food for thought. Links in the description as always. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.